thank you for taking time. As you will all learn, and I'm sure you've done some of your background research already. You're an incredibly busy individual. So thank you for taking the time to speak with us today. I know we all have been really looking forward to it, and we really appreciate it. So we wanted to just start out by asking you if you can tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey. How did you get started on this journey, and what are some of the milestones that you've gone through throughout the last number of years?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks so much for having me, Janet and Nada, and all you guys. It's amazing to be here. I started at Waterloo in undergrad in 2003 in Arts and Business program. And in around 2005, my friend Chelsea, who's actually also an embedder, told me, hey, Majid, you like doing stuff. There's an organization called ACE, Advancing Canadian Entrepreneurship. And then I showed up to this first meeting, and the president of the organization was there, and he said, hey, we have a project for you. And I was like, just here to listen. And they assigned me a project for the ACE card, which is like a loyalty card for Waterloo students. And that was my first exposure to entrepreneurship. Because then we ended up creating this loyalty card, sold it for $5 through clubs, and it gave you discounts to like restaurants in the plaza. I was like, oh, this is what entrepreneurship is, like building something.
Yeah.
And then I went on to take part in a lot of failed startups over the years. And I think that's kind of taught me what not to do leading up to ESGTree.
Okay.
So I would always think, oh, what did I do wrong in that one? What did I do wrong there? And so we're like 2 years into the journey now and past seed stage, and getting a lot of investor interest because of how ESG is and so on.
You said you learned a lot about what not to do. Can you tell us a little bit more about what were some of these challenges that you experienced, and how has that shaped your kind of approach now from a strategy perspective, how you lead your team, how you really kind of just really manage your venture at this point?
Earlier in my other ventures, which were very small, we didn't make it past 6 months or any of them, or 1 year, and didn't really generate a lot of revenue. We generated more revenue from this startup in the first 3 months than I did all the rest of the 3 combined. And the first thing was that it was all based on like personal interest and what I thought was passion, but not based on market needs. That took me a long time, because I went through those 3, ideas, not basing it on market need, but basing it on, oh, I like this. This is cool. But that doesn't build a business. When I started, there was a session in this room, I think, and there's this one-on-one coaching. So I had this idea, but then I took it to concept for one-on-one coaching. Coach at that time said, look, Majid, sounds great, but don't start until you've spoken to 50 potential customers. So I actually tried to start doing that, and I ended up speaking to about 25 before starting the design. So I had a pretty good idea of what people are looking for and what they're willing to pay for.
You've had a lot of success in a short period of time, right?
I'd say a medium success.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I would say a lot. You'll say medium. Okay, whatever. I feel like it's a lot of success, and you've done a lot in a relatively short period of time, while you have personal responsibilities and you're doing school. Like, there's a lot on your plate, and you did it at an interesting time during COVID. Can you tell us a little bit about, the decision to really kind of get this going during this time? What are some of the implications? Was that something that you thought, kind of prompted you to get this started? Can you tell us, just walk us through a little bit of some of those thoughts that you had in some of the decisions?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of entrepreneurs who are willing to put in the time, the energy, the effort, and the dedication, but capital is a serious issue. It's not that, oh, I don't have access to $1 million of capital. It's just like, do I want to put in $20,000 of my savings into this? Like, you can't because of your net worth. Like, it's a very big risk to take on yourself. So that risk capital was absolutely catalytic, because number one, it gives you encouragement. Like, you could have given this 20K to 100 other people, but they gave it to us. So it's a responsibility. It didn't ever occur to me that this is not a good time. It's pandemic. Some people mention that everyone's stressed out. They don't know where budgets are going. I don't know. But we're like, no, we got 20K and we're going to like make this happen. It was, I think, the best time to put your head down. Like we wanted to be holed up and building a product, a really good product. Of course, 2020 turned out to be a pivotal watershed moment in ESG. Everything has changed in 1 year. Like it's unbelievable. So I think it was a great time. You know, there's that famous saying, you can't manage what you don't measure. Like it all starts at data. So we're a data company and we push private equity firms and venture capital firms to feed data into our system so we can start identifying risk areas and opportunity areas. And the natural step after you've identified risks and opportunities is to have recommendations. Now, we as a service provider, we're not the government and we're not an investor. Like these are your two leverage points. If you're the government, you can enforce through regulation. If you're an investor, you can enforce through not investing or pulling your investments or not investing. So there's real stakes there. For us, we're being paid. So the only thing we can do is show them the benefits and the business case of acting responsibly and hope that if we've given them 3 recommendations, they'll take one of them and actually implement it, which is what happens. Our job is to put the information forward because that's not there right now either. Like at least now they know what the risk areas are and what they should be doing from a responsible investment standpoint or responsible business standpoint. What we usually see is that if we put 3 recommendations forward in a report, one of them will actually make it through to implementation and the other 2 will be just like, oh, this is not our priority, forget about it. When a good technical co-founder you approach, like a classmate or someone else who's been involved with building stuff, they're not just looking at your idea, but they're looking like, do I want to work with this person? Like, will I get along with this person for the next 5 years? Which is what it takes. So data before showed that you needed about 4 years to to create a sustainable SaaS business. And now it's 7 years because of competition and market dynamics. So that's a long time. And that mathematics happens like within seconds. So if someone comes to me and says, I want to partner with you, like within seconds, I'm like doing all of that.
Yeah.
Sometimes the best form of leadership is how little you do of it. So that is like a skill. How do you create an environment, like a sandbox, and then just step away and go away? Like don't even look at what's happening there. And then like you come back 10 days later and there's like kids and people and playing and they're like, oh, you should play with us. And you're like, you don't have to tell them that you put it there. Like how do you lead by doing less leadership and at the same time like feeling your success and other people's success? You know, like, wow, this person was able to close a contract independently without me. Amazing. That's not a threatening thing. You know, even if they decide to leave ESGTree, because the objective is human development, right? Whether it's for customers or for your team or for co-op students. So ESGTree was one of the sponsors for the Malcolm X Scholarship at Conrad Grebel, where we are incubated in the Center for Peace Advancement. And that would, I think without a shadow of a doubt, Malcolm X.
Why?
Because I see Malcolm X as the pure embodiment of social justice. And I would love to shadow him to see exactly how he did that on a day-to-day basis.
All right. We just wanted to give you a very small token of our appreciation. I know the students are really looking forward to it. And thank you for taking the time. You know, you're an incredibly busy person. So thank you for sharing all of your insights. I think it's safe to say you've all given us a lot to think about.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.